was at the 7th International Oil and Gas Summit at the Kampala Hotel. Museveni urged the joint venture partners, Total Energies, Chinese National Offshore Oil Corporation, CNOOC, to continue with their operations in the country undisrupted.
But they should calm down. Because this is a wrong battleground for them. We don't take kindly to arrogance. That's why we spent so many years sorting out issues with arrogant people. So the plan will be implemented according to schedule.
Ruth Nankabirwa, the Minister of Energy and Mineral Development, also gave the oil and gas project a clean bill of health.
We are not going to retract. We are not going to withdraw. We are moving forward, having appreciated where we've come from, where we are. We quite very well know where we are going. So the expectation from the oil and gas exploration and development includes revenue generation, employment, industrialization, infrastructure development, among others. And to me, this is what I call the departure point for Uganda.
That as a country, we are committed to principles of transparency and accountability. The other principle that continues to govern us as set in the oil and gas policy is protection of the environment and conservation of biodiversity. So we are taken aback when we see a global effort to try and paint this industry as non-compliant when it comes to issues of environment and conservation of biodiversity. If there is any country that has prepared very well, it is Uganda.
Uganda's oil and gas industry has transitioned from the exploration and appraisal to the development stage. On the 1st of February 2022, the project received a green light from the developers with the signing of the final investment decision. Dennis Igoa for UBC News in Kampala.
And our Ministry of Health, Ministry of Health has announced 6 new cases of Ebola. The new confirmed cases bring the number of cumulative cases to 24 and the number of deaths still stand at 5. Ministry of Health spokesperson has told UBC about the Kasangati suspected Ebola case where a sample has been obtained and taken to the Uganda Virus Research Institute.
Kati omubale gw'abantu abakakakasibwa kubeera n'ekirwadde kya Ebola guyimiridde ku 24 ekyo kiraga nti twafunye 6 abapya kubanga jo omubale gwabadde guyimiridde ku 18 ate kati tugenda kubanga tufokasinga kwabo abakakasibwa mu laboratory abakafa bakyayimiridde ku 5 tetunafuna omuntu omulala afudde ekirwadde kya Ebola. Ebibadde bitambula ku mikutu gya social media nga biraga nti waliwo yafudde e Kasangati. Tuli mu kukolagana wamu ne Kampala Capital City Authority okulaba nti no sample ejirwayo already sample bagijeyo tulinze binafuruma mu Uganda Virus Research Institute kweyo case suspected case oba case eteberebwa kubanga ya Ebola. Wano mu Kampala tetunafunayo case ya Ebola, so abantu babeere bagumu naye tusaba buli omu gyali abeere bulindaara.
Meanwhile, residents of Kasangati, Wakiso district are in shock after a young man, Ivan Kasenge, died of a suspicious disease having symptoms related to Ebola virus at Kasangati Health Center in Wakiso district. The body was buried by Ministry of Health amidst tight security.
This is Kasangati Health Center and the ward where Ivan Kasenge was admitted after he was denied treatment in another facility due to his condition.
Banne b'omugenzi bakubira taata ekironga ssaawa 6 nga bamutegeeza munnaabwe nga bw'atandise okusesema ng'atawulira omutwe gumuluma nnyo ng'era n'okusesema okwo kulimu omusaayi. Mwana yadde akyalina amaanyi taata n'amuteeka ku kapikipiki bajje naye badde bayingira gayaza nga bayise ne Kasanga ku ddwaliro. Mwana asaba taata nga awulira ayagala kusesema awo ebintu ebyatabukidde yasesemye omusaayi muyitirivu ddala amaanyi ne gamuggwamu nga taata takyasobola namutuuza ku pikipiki muvuga mumutwala.
At the health center were also 2 people, Michael Gonvu, a father to the deceased, and Joseph Semyale border rider, who transported Kasenge for treatment. They were scared and quarantined in the room to avoid physical contact with other people. But we communicated with them on phone about Kasenge's case. Joseph Semyalo said he was in shock to realize that the person he carried on his border was suffering from Ebola. Efforts to reach the Director Health Services Wakiso District and the Director of Kasangati Health Center were futile. By the time of filing this story, Minister of Health had confirmed obtaining samples. And still at Uganda Virus Research Institute in Entebbe, Deborah Namamonde, UBC News.
Chikube district authorities have called upon the general public to remain calm following a scare of 2 suspected Ebola cases. This had risen from panic amongst the public over the weekend after 2 people from Changwali sub-county presented Ebola-like symptoms such as vomiting, abdominal pain and high fever. Chikube district health officer Dr. Nelson Naisi notes that no deaths was registered.
A time of scare for everybody, but we've been encouraged to work together as a team, as a family, to ensure that whoever is sick in our midst, whoever manifests symptoms of fever, symptoms of pain, severe headache, bleeding which is unexplained, and maybe diarrhea or blood diarrhea, we refer them to hospital where we can have them managed. Of course, samples are taken. We are encouraging everybody to emphasize surveillance, whereby anybody with signs and symptoms is referred to the officials, particularly the health department. We have a surveillance team.
Manpower, but manpower sometimes may never be enough. We always continue wishing to add on. We have our ambulances here for the district. We have our partners who always come in quickly, give us logistics. But we're also going straight to the center. We have agreed at the task force, we're to the Ministry of Health to seek for support.
Now, members of the National Social Security Fund, NSSF, will earn an interest of 9.65% on their savings for the financial year 2021-22, translating into 1.38 trillion that will be credited to their accounts. In accordance with provisions of the NSSF Act, the new rate will be calculated and credited on the balance outstanding on each member's account as of 1st July. Dennis Sigoa has more.
The National Social Security Fund interest declared is above the 10 years average rate of inflation, which stood at 5.5% as at the end of June 2022. According to the fund, the rates are competitive in the market this year, given the economic shocks faced in 2020 that have continued to impact the global economy to date.
Because we didn't invest in long-term bills, when we invest in long-term bills, we would have earned an interest of 18%. When we invest in short-term bills, we earned an interest of about 8-9%. The difference between 8-9% and 18% is the opportunity cost we lost, and that is about 94 billion shillings. Sorry, 98 billion shillings. That 98 billion shillings, if you add it to the 4.5 billion shillings and you add it to our revenue, we would have been able to pay out at least an interest rate of 10.6%.
However, it's a decline from the 12.5% interest rate paid the previous year.
The fund is committed to implementation of the new NSSF Amendment Act and has already rolled out the mid-term access benefits. In this regard, the fund has paid out mid-term access benefits for the first year running, amounting to over 443 billion to over 21,700 qualifying members in the just concluded financial year.
We clarify business purpose, but we also, as much as possible, assess performance. Assess performance in real time. In NSSF, we have no performance appraisal, but we have got performance enhancement purposes.
According to Richard Byerugawa, the managing director, NSSF, the fund has invested in short-term instruments whose returns are lower to provide for liquidity to pay eligible mid-term benefit to claimants.
If you go to Tamangalo, which is a little bit lower end of the market, you'll notice that we built actually more houses. We are building 550 houses, which is a lot more than what we're doing in Lobo. So, depending on what the market is telling us, how many people are available, how many people are willing to pay for those houses, we will build according to them. So we do not do anything before we do market research.
Other performance indicators show that the fund registered growth in its assets under management that increased by 11% from Uganda shillings 15.5 trillion to 17.3 trillion, and member contributions that increased by 9% from 1.3 trillion shillings to 1.48 trillion shillings. Dennis Igor in Juman Samba for UBC News.
Meanwhile, police have foiled a consultative meeting between the Lord Mayor, Elias Lukwago, and some members of the border associations that was scheduled to take place at City Hall. The Lord Mayor wanted input from stakeholders for a public transport management ordinance bill that streamlines public transport in Kampala City.
Police deployed heavily in the morning at City Hall, the seat of Kampala City Council Authority, to block a consultative meeting between KCCA and members of border associations, which the Lord Mayor Elias Lukwago was due to address. The political wing headed by the Lord Mayor recently drafted a bill, Public Transport Management Ordinance, about which Lukwago and his team were scheduled to consult with the borders. The Lord Mayor found an empty and heavily secured hall. His plea for explanation from the police failed.
Listen. Well, it's very unfortunate, of course, that they have disrupted our engagement. But we have to follow the due process of enacting a legislation. There is no shortcut. We can't circumvent that process which is provided for in the law. That once a bill is tabled before council, and it is committed to the committees, it has to be processed with the stakeholders. You have to have engagements with the stakeholders. They must have an input. Otherwise, whose law are we making? If they don't make their input in this bill, whose law is it?
It is said that the Deputy Executive Director of KCCA had written to the Lord Mayor and the team, asking them to find a different venue. But Lord Mayor Lukwago denies receiving the letter. He also claims that the Office of the Executive Director has no such powers.
All we hear in the corridors is that probably somebody wrote to them, that I think the ED wrote to them. The Deputy ED wrote to them. We are not privy to that. We don't know what actually was expressed in that particular document. I have not seen it personally. And not even my colleagues here have seen it. We have not seen that document. And we take exception of that conduct because we are not here to serve the interests of the ED or deputy ED for that matter. No, we are serving the interests of the people of Kampala who elected us. And the ED is subordinate to us. The ED must listen to us. It's not up to them to take decisions on our behalf.
The Speaker of the Council, Zahara Lubega, says they will push ahead with the bill.
We're not going to stop here. We are continuing with what we're supposed to do. No one is going to threaten us.
Ali Kamlegea Asaba and Joseph Miingo, UBC News.
Meanwhile, government is to overturn its decision and allow certified nursery operators to supply coffee and tea seedlings to farmers. Now, this follows Parliament's disagreement with government's plans to divert the supply of the seedlings through the program of parish developmental model. Minister for Finance Matia Kasaija bowed to the pressure from the heated members of Parliament and watered down his statement to the August House on coffee and seedlings.
This policy change did not provide for any transition to address the already produced seedlings by certified nursery operators to supply to the farmers.
The drama lasted hours after members of Parliament disagreed with Minister for Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Matia Kasaija, over a statement he read to the House on the supply of coffee and tea seedlings.
Last week when the minister said he was consulting, I asked him, you are consulting who? Because I had talked to NADS, they said he has not talked to them.
From Buweju, in order to tell lies, that I, Matia Kashaya Rwabiamuyito, that I have not talked to NADS. I was with NADS yesterday.
Minister Kasaija had maintained government's position to divert funds from UCDA and NADS to the PDM circles, which has left the certified nursery operators in dire state.
There is money in the budget, but that money is not sufficient to cover all the cost of the seedlings in the garden, in the nurseries now.
Even right here, right now, Speaker, so he has not released the funds, but his coffee seedlings can be given out before funds are released, because he knows it, that they always pay these people after almost 2 years when they are demanding.
The MPs, backed by Deputy Speaker Thomas Tayebwa, questioned the capability of circles to handle supply of seedlings, since most circle members do not own land.
You're referring the matter to circle leadership when I don't have circles in my area. As if you're working with rainmakers, that rain will wait for us. We don't have these circles. If the circles were ready, yes, Honorable Minister yourself, you would have already given them money for parish model. The reason you've not released money for parish model, the circles are not ready.
You have just eaten to the Auditor General requesting for permission to give Munyonyo money when Parliament refused. And then for coffee, which is the mainstay of our population, you are saying the money is not sufficient.
And after a heated debate, Minister Kasaija called for calm and bowed out of pressure.
Let's cut the long story short.
Kasaija told Parliament that UCDA and NADS will now receive the full funding as allocated in the current budget accordingly to avert the vice.
We shall release the money to UCDA and NADS as per budget.
That's it. If you had started that way, we wouldn't be having a problem.
Let the supply be authorized. We shall work out a mechanism with finance, with PDM, which is on the ground, and we shall verify. Please, just be patient. We shall verify who has been supplied, such that, colleagues, you don't come back here to say there was air supply, isn't it?
Several stakeholders have since petitioned Parliament over unfair take by government to withdraw its program of purchasing seedlings from the nursery and supply to farmers. Daniel Mugoya, Gloria Gutabinji, UBC News.
And prosecution witnessed 3 Detective Inspector of Police Muyaya Godfrey in the case where 8 people are accused of murdering Sheikh Masood Mutumba has pinned 4 suspects for the murder. Those pointed out are Mugoya Abiyasali, Jagenda John Henry, Mugoya Ashraf and Mugoya Baledusa.
The 8 suspects answering offences of murdering Sheikh Masood Mutumba in Bujiri district have appeared at the General Court Martial in Machindi. Prosecution presented a 3rd witness, Detective Inspector of Police Muyaya Godfrey, who investigated in this matter.
This a matter of murder, and to an investigator like me, I concentrate on the before, during and after the incident.
Muyaya told court that the accused Mugoya Ashraf narrated how he convened with his uncle Abiyasali Mugoya, who had a special car from Jagenda and a gun from Mugoya Balidusa, which they used to accomplish the deal of murdering Sheikh Mutumba.
When I concentrated on Mugoya Ashraf's contact, I realized he had been in communication with so many other different people. Upon asking him certain numbers, he could always reveal to me that this is so and so. When I could ask him, is this one in custody? He says, no, that one is at so and so. That is how it took me up to one called Yasai.
Brigadier General Freeman Robert Mugabe set the 18th of October 2022 for further hearing of the case. Sheikh Masood Mutumba was killed at Bulemba village in Bujiri district on the 14th of February 2020. In another development, prosecution represented by Joseph Chomuhendo has asked court not to grant bail to 5 accused persons of offences of removing a kidney from an immigrant worker Judith Nachinto. Prosecution told court that this case is at its early stage of trial. The accused persons include Abubakar Sulaiman Kato, the directors of Nile Treasure Gate Company Limited, Muhammad Mariam, an agent, Ali Hassan, Jennifer Nalunga, the supervisor of the company, and Salma Muhammad, a board member.
Supported to go everywhere, toilet, eating. Even when she eats, you find that her nephrons do not digest well or do what it has to do to help her screen out what it has to screen.
The 5 were represented by lawyer Kale Baraka, who objected to the prayer. The group is facing charges related to aggravated trafficking.
Ends up passing out almost the food as she ate it. So that in itself clearly shows there is something that happened to her life which was not usual, and that must be found out. We are also receiving strange calls. Yes, strange calls from the Saudi boss. The Saudi boss and some strange people calling, still wanting to understand Nachito's status.
The accused persons committed the alleged offences in December 2019 and October 2021 in Kampala, Uganda and Saudi Arabia. The case is before the Justice Susan Okalanyi, Rebecca Nantongo, Susan Nabugude, UBC News.
Now, Pastor Robert Kayanja, the patron of Miracle Center Cathedral Churches, has launched a hunger-free campaign in Karamoja this is amidst the food scarcity crisis in the region. He was flagging off tractors, seeds and assorted food items to the northern eastern region.
The last acute food insecurity IPC revealed that approximately 518,000 people are in urgent need of food assistance in Karamoja, with 428,000 individuals facing crisis levels of food insecurity and almost 90,000 in emergency levels in the period between March and July 2022. Recently, hunger affected Karamoja sub-region, claiming lives. It was caused by a long drought that did not favor growing food. Although government intervened, the people in the region still need food aid. Miracle Center Cathedral Church has launched the Karamoja Outcry Project to support Karamoja. The lead pastor Miracle Center Cathedral Church's Robert Kayanja has flagged off tractors for cultivation, provided maize, soya, beans, millet and sorghum seeds to Karamoja.
We've seen already the seeds, the clothes, the mattresses, the food, and many other things we are taking to Karamoja. This person who loves Uganda, that you gave, and the money you gave, we are trying to put it to proper and useful use so that it will bring forth a greater harvest. And there's no other greater use than to put these resources, which is just over 790 million, to proper use continuously. So that's why we bought the tractors, the planters, the plow, and other equipment which is coming. Bought the seeds, okay, the tractors, the seeds, and we bought the food. And the food is not just maize flour. No, it is fortified with vitamins, fortified with proteins, fortified with calcium, fortified with coconut oil, fortified with sugar and milk.
Meanwhile, at a prayer and evangelical crusade at Massey House Church Chiteti Kagayaza in Wakiso, Pastor Kayanja condemned the growing indiscipline and mischiefs among pastors.
And kubanga bononye kyekyo kyaleeta Yesu Kristo tufirira lwaki tesobola kwetukuza lwaki tesobola kweyamba kitegeeza nti enjiri ya Mukama waffe eremeddwe okubuulirwa n'amaanyi ag'omwoyo mutukuvu. Omwoyo mutukuvu yalumiriza ensi ekibi era talina watuweera buyinza kukuba bantu kubatyoboolera mu maaso g'abamukyala baabwe n'abaami baabwe.
His concern about the misconduct comes after recently one pastor was pinned for caning ushers, with another arrested by police for chaining his followers.
Obuyinza balina okukikwata n'amaanyi n'abantu abakola ebintu ebyo babakwate babakangavvulire ddala kubanga bamenya amateeka ag'ensi. Mu Uganda tokyakkirizibwa kuba yadde n'abaana b'amasomero tebakyabakuba oba n'abantu ababuli ne poliisi tekkirizibwa kuba bantu obuyinza obujjawo obukuba abantu.
Amwaiva Njuko for UBC News.
Luweero district officials have hailed Bulamu Healthcare Partners for supporting 39 healthcare centers and strengthening health systems. This was during the launch of Vital Signs Equipment Project by Rotary Club Kampala Naguru and Bulamu Healthcare in Luweero.
The top officials of Luweero district, led by the Deputy CAO, Yiga Martin Paul, received the vital signs equipment and called for maintenance of the healthcare system and avoid fraud.
The issues in sustainability of these equipments is maintenance. Now, it's discipline which must be inculcated in the health workers first, because these equipment are not personal. So some misuse them, they take them to their homes, to their private clinics, and that is one area where some of these equipments get lost.
Luweero District Health Officer says the district health system had broken down, with equipment slowing down delivery of health services to the community. Luweero District appreciates Bulamu Healthcare for launching the vital signs equipment, which will improve health systems in the district.
Key challenge is the issue of the basic equipment. In as much as we have this basic equipment, the quality of these days that is on the market is somehow, 50-50, and the equipment we have they don't last so long. As
Bulamu Healthcare International Country Director Masereka McKay calls on government facilities to cooperate in training health workers to utilize the equipments for a better performance.
We hope to continue scaling up the program to many other districts as long as we have the funding and as long as there is good performance in the usage. Of course, we consider issues of sustainability, and we are partnering with the government health facilities because we know they get some funds.
Rotary District Governor 9-13 Mackay Kennedy Sebaru says Rotary is supporting the implementation of the Vital Signs Equipment Project, which Luweero District needs to embrace.
The Rotary Club of Naguru came up with a proposal after a needs assessment across the country where gaps were identified in the health service provisions to do with diagnostic capacity.
Some of the Rotarians explain the project.
One, we are giving out the weighing scale. One, we discovered that some people, some health centers have but do not have enough.
We have the vital sign equipment. We can know that you have blood pressure. We give you medicine for pressure.
Justin Nakami, Tanaba Kenneth, compiled.
The Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development has organized a one-week mindset change lecture for leaders of people persons with disability at National Leadership Institute in Chankwanzi. The Commissioner of People with Disability in the Ministry of Gender, Prosper Muhumuza, says this is a landmark activity in terms of inclusion.
Over 250 leaders of persons with disability are undergoing a mindset change training at the National Leadership Institute in Chankwanzi. The Commissioner for People with Disability at the Ministry of Gender, Prosper Muhumuza, says this is a landmark activity on inclusion for persons with disability.
First time that persons with disabilities in wheelchairs will also now hold the gun.
The trainees appreciate the program.
Also trying to make sure that our people, leaders at various levels, understand the story of NRM revolution and how to bring about social economic transformation in the country.
I have to get knowledge, skills on leadership, since we are leadership in the communities.
They also cite challenges like mobility facilities and the language barrier.
For purposes of meaningful inclusion, for purposes of complying with the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, let's put reasonable accommodation that will also cater for them like any other Uganda.
The Director, National Leadership Institute, Brigadier General Charles Chisembo, says the challenges are an eye-opener for government to improve facility needed by PWDs.
As leaders, they need to have a correct interpretation of the challenges, the political realities that confront their country. So a lot of challenges, a lot of ideas that we raise out of this discussion to inform maybe policy and other issues concerning people with disabilities.
Jane Nyiramcha, reporting for UBC.
National Children's Authority and Child Africa have called upon Ugandans to protect the rights of children first. This follows increased abuse of children's rights, which compromises their future.
The practice of child marriage affects nearly half of all girl children in Uganda, with a high prevalence in the districts of Busoga, Acholi, Bunyoro and Toro sub-region. The Managing Director, Child Authority, Julie Solberg, told the media that children's rights must be protected to ensure a holistic development.
It's because the condition they are living into forces them to take upon such things. They are not empowered. This is what we are here to do today. This is what we want to do. We want to empower the girl child. And believe me, when you empower a girl child and you help a girl child, you have helped the whole family.
The Managing Director, National Children's Authority, Chiza Martini, wants government to ensure that early marriages are stopped.
Children to really identify their talents as much as possible. As you see her on global level, international level, we say if she can't, why can't you do it out there, you the girl child or the boy child? So in fact that you're part and parcel of this. So
Nyamahunge just sent 100 national record holder track and field championship up the girl's child to value education.
It is a school that is going to know you're a good better, you're a good footballer, you're a good athlete. It is only school that can do that. Yes, our parents can support us to be who we are, but through education.
This was during the launch of the Girls Power Marathon in 2022 to promote Girls Africa. Kayumba Stephanie compiled this report for UBC News.
Still talking about education, as Uganda prepares to commemorate 60 years of independence, the education sector has been one of the most important sectors that has progressed. Ivan Tukundane compiles the journey of the sector since independence. Let's take a look.
First of all, the education system which we inherited at independence, okay,
was actually after producing somebody who would be able to serve the colonialists.
The curriculum was very basic at the time of starting. It was meant to train daughters of chiefs in preparation for being good mothers, good wives.
Forms of education and learning, we are moving in the right direction. I think that the question of independence is an economic question.
When the first missionary, Alexander Mackay, arrived in Uganda from England as a representative of the Church Mission Society to spread the gospel, he also taught reading and writing, as well as equipping locals with technical skills using modern technology. His efforts as a teacher and missionary planted seeds for the growth of the church and education. Church and education later became inseparable in education path of Uganda. Later, Mackay and Albert Cook were joined by Bishop Tucker to establish the Anglican Church Mission in Mukono, where a secondary school, Bishop Tucker, now Uganda Christian University, was established in 1913. The Church Mission Society settled at Namirembe, where an African church for blacks was created. They named it the Native Anglican Church that established hospitals and schools, among which are King's College Budo, Gayaza High School, Busoga College Mwiri, Bweranyanji Girls, Mengo Secondary School, St. Mary's Chisubi, St. Mary's Namagunga, and Sir Samuel Baker High School. For a long time, though Uganda had a few schools, by 1970, Uganda had 73 government-aided secondary schools with a few universities, a sign that shows the country was still struggling in this sector.
The education system we inherited at independence, one, it was inspected, it was evaluated. You could hear that teachers are being inspected, teachers are being evaluated.
Colonial education was basically meant to train clerks, people who would take minutes during meetings, and people who would translate the message of the colonial masters to the local population or to the Africans. And even where vocational and technical education was emphasized, this education actually didn't provide, did not let students think critically. It was basically to give them the bare minimum skills to enable them to do certain things like carpentry and so on and so forth.
Mrs. Chizito Robin Akatongore, the current head teacher of Gayaza High School, where she is also an old student, affirms that traditional schools have continued to uphold the principles on which they were founded, particularly Gayaza.
It started at the other side of where we see the Gayaza Junior School today. Then it started as one school, then eventually in 1939 the secondary section started. At that time it was basically arithmetic, Bible reading, agriculture, Bible knowledge. It was very basic curriculum then, but it was helping to groom the girl child to be a good mother and a good trainer in the home, because we know that the girl child is the mother of the nation. So that was the beginning of Gayaza High School. Then eventually the curriculum evolved and more subjects came on board. Then eventually the secondary section was started in 1939, and the school was started by Church Missionary Society, and then eventually it became government aided, but still under the Church of Uganda, because Church Missionary Society was working hand in hand with the Church of Uganda.
Credit is given for the increased access to education by majority of young population, though the quality question is still being asked.
you cannot be economically independent if you do not have an education that supports the direction of economic transformation. So, maybe to say three things. One, our secondary school is still excellent education. We just need to improve it and put it on track. Two, we need to invest more now in post-secondary. The young people, the 1 million people who enter the school system every year.
Professor Fabian Nabgomu also appreciates the educational reforms which have phased out the unnecessary content and replaced it with the relevant content learners and training teachers need. Academic experts and scholars give advice on what should be done to improve the education standards in order to strengthen the educational independence.
What we need to do is seriously to analyze what is wrong with our teacher. What inabilities does our teacher have, so that we may actually retrain, refocus the teacher and equip them with the necessary skills. Okay? Number two, we need to look at what is wrong with the teaching and learning process. How should the children be taught? It's not a matter of saying, let the teachers all become graduates. No, the question is analyzing what's wrong with the teacher, and then we look at what they should be equipped with during the training.
First and foremost, in this country, we don't have what we call a national philosophy. A national philosophy is that kind of a national thinking that guides the population towards achieving particular goals. And, I would love to see an education system that instills critical thinking, an education system that instills creativity among its learners, an education system that instills innovativeness.
At 60 years of independence, Uganda has increased on the number of schools and learning centers, but the scholars advise on how the future of education should be.
We need to vocationalize everything in the schools. Let everything we do in the school be through learning by doing. And I can tell you, there is nothing that that one can say cannot be taught in a school that cannot be done through doing. And then finally, let us establish the 3 schools. Let's establish the school at home, the school in the community, and reestablish the formal school by what are we doing there.
We need certain values. We need to put up a national philosophy by looking at certain, values from the different ethnic groupings, and then we craft what we call something, a national thinking that will help us to propagate this country or to take this country from one level to another.
An investment in knowledge pays the best interest. Education experts advise the government to implement the national education philosophy in order to earn the best interest. I'm Ivan Tukundane reporting for UBC.
October Bidel Musaba Gardens Mukono, October Mukaga Millennium Gardens Sazibuaya, October Munanaji Montelembara, 10 October, 40 Poto Muchisawe, Abidim B October, Bale Sports Center, Umtualukumo, Yebem Tuale Santo, a meza million yemo, Wababa Tualukumia, Abana Gula tickets of Akosa M10 Momo, Banjagusa Sulan Comitano, Bidabina Romo Center, Hiva Motors, Galaxy FM, Radio 4, Kagwida War, TN.
I remember the lockdown, when the streets were empty and our lives disrupted, when businesses closed and our livelihoods hung in the balance. Hospitals were full. We lost loved ones, jobs, and hope. Our children couldn't study anymore. We cannot let this happen again. We should not go back. Get fully vaccinated against COVID-19 and join the millions of Ugandans who are already vaccinated.
Airtel is giving you bigger data bundles for the same price. Dial *175# to choose from our range of bigger Chillax bundles that don't expire and stay connected longer to loved ones. Airtel, the smartphone network.
A good school doesn't tolerate violence against children.
Because a good school equals a better life.
Raising voices.
Beat the back-to-school hustle today. Pay school fees conveniently using Airtel Money. Dial *185#. Select option 6, school fees.
Select to pay using Bridge Schools, School Pay or Peg Pay.
Select option 1, pay fees. Enter student number. Enter the amount. Enter the PIN number to complete payment. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
Forget last season. Forget the oohs and the ahs. Forget every moment that stole the show. Because the real show is here on GoTV. It's the new season. It's action-packed and it's going to be non-stop football. With over 1,000 games from more than 7 leagues and cup competitions plus a World Cup. Make sure you get the best seat in the house this new football season. Get a GoCoder with 1 month of GoTV value for only 25,000 Uganda shillings and enjoy non-stop football. GoTV Uganda. Love it.
Stay connected on the largest 4G network in Uganda using the Airtel 4G Pocket MiFi at only 75,000 Uganda shillings. It comes with 15 GBs free, valid for a month. You can connect up to 10 of your friends and family at a go. Visit the nearest Airtel shop to get one today or call 0800 333 330 for free delivery within Kampala. Dial *175*9# to activate free 15 GBs. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Welcome back. Now in business news, Housing Finance Bank has launched the Housing Finance Bank Securities Portal. Now the portal will enable Ugandans buy treasury bills and bonds from anywhere at any time, easing access to financial and investment opportunities for all.
The Housing Finance Securities Portal is the bank's commitment and digital transformation journey, adding value, convenience for Ugandans to invest in securities.
It is one of those steps to deepen the financial markets. And two, it also helps us to widen our financial markets. The more people get involved in financial markets, the better it is for growth, the better it is for government mobilizing finance when it is required, and the better it is for the investors themselves to benefit from the investments in government securities. So it widens access, which is very good.
You can easily open a CDC account. You can then proceed from opening a CDC account to participate and trade in these government securities, bonds, treasury bills, and grow your investment, grow your income, grow your revenue. Something we're happy to see your customers do, both present and those out there listening to me, the youth, the young, and for as little as 100,000 shillings, you see you can be able to trade in various options and of investment opportunities.
The Housing Finance Securities Portal will create an avenue for innovative solutions, financial progress and dependence. Government of Uganda and Bank of Uganda's interest is to grow financial markets and widen growth in the economy as a mechanism to eradicate poverty.
It's growing, it is expanding. Within the African region, ours is one of the good participants in terms of the number of entities involved, in terms of the depth of the market and how it's growing over time, in terms of how the secondary market is growing. If you compare it with other regional countries, the Ugandan market is doing very well. And if we continue to do reforms, it will deepen, it will expand, and will even grow faster over the next 5 years.
Financial markets, participation in financial markets is one of the key attributes, avenues that will help us to grow our markets. So a very big attribute for us to participate in as a bank, and I see us championing this to help us to grow our financial markets, as you heard from Dr. Charles Abuga.
Uganda's market is narrow, therefore the interest rates are bound to increase daily and affect financial institutions. Sandra Kaunde, UBC News.
Government entities ought to use geographical information systems to manage information and support decision-making. The Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development is celebrating 9 years since the adoption of the approach.
The Geographical Information System, GIS, is a software used by various entities to aid information flow from one geographical area to another through geographical approach. Experts say this technology is basically used for network monitoring and management.
Network monitoring and management, these are big, wide, broad areas that I'm going to go into later. Customer service support, asset management and monitoring, as well as field operations support.
It's a breakthrough technology that has allowed us as the Minister of Energy and Mineral Development to plan better, to monitor better, but also to make sure that we respond to what our customers, for example, the stakeholders of the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development want.
The Geographical Information System has been essential in promoting rural electrification, where 16,449 villages were electrified in 2021.
Of the 64,639 villages in the planning database, only 16,449, that represents 26%, were found to be electrified through different avenues, on-grid and off-grid.
However, this approach comes with challenges, especially high costs of data, which affect customer satisfaction.
Utility infrastructure is aging, or it ages. I mean, it's not there for a lifetime. And then there is also changing demographics. So you increasingly have requirements for new connections and so on and so forth. Another critical aspect is customer satisfaction. So we increasingly have customers who are demanding more and more from the service providers in terms of reduced downtimes and ensuring, for example, availability of the resources that need to be provided.
Mary Namkose, UBC News.
October Bidel Musaba Gardens Mukono, October Mukaga Millennium Gardens Sazibuaya, October Munanaji Montelembara, 15 October, 40 Poto Muchisawe, Abimbi October, Bale Sports Center, Umtual Como, Yebem Tuale Santo, a meza million yemo, Wababa Tual Kume, Abana tickets of Cosa M10 Momo, Banjagusa Sulan Comitano, Binamina Romo Center, Hiva Motors, Galaxy FM, Radio 4, Kagwila War, TN.
It's back! A After 2 years away, the Uganda International Trade Fair is back. The Uganda Manufacturers Association excitedly invites you to the 28th Uganda International Trade Fair from October 3rd to October 10th. Visit more than 1,000 manufacturers, traders, distributors, and business people from all sectors at the UMA Showgrounds in Lugogo. We are back to innovation, products, and world-class manufacturing excellence. Entrance fee is 10,000 shillings only. Select manufacturers will offer discounted prices of up to 50%. Enjoy live performances from your favorite artists as we celebrate 60 years of Uganda's independence. To book spares, call 0703 552 444.
The Ministry of Health informs the public that there are confirmed cases of Ebola in Uganda. We, however, urge the public not to panic as the situation is being managed. The Ministry of Health further reminds the public to be on the lookout for any persons who may show signs and symptoms of Ebola. These include high body temperature, abdominal pains, diarrhea, vomiting, bleeding from the body openings such as the nose, eyes, and mouth. Please inform the nearest health worker immediately if you see anyone with these signs and symptoms. To prevent Ebola from spreading further, please take the following preventive measures: regular washing of hands with water and soap, avoid handshaking and hugging, avoiding any contact with any suspected Ebola patients. Any person who dies suddenly should not be buried but reported to the nearest health worker or LC1 immediately. For further information, please call the Ministry of Health toll-free number on 0800 100 066 or send a free SMS to your report on 8500. This message is from the Ministry of Health with support from UNICEF and World Health Organization.
Meet Professor Petero. He knows something every hustler in UG is gonna love.
Oh, see. You say I was just trying to get the documents to register for Airtel Money.
You don't need the documents. You just say to register.
What's going on here? He sells things from the shop, and behind my back, he gets the money and gives it to his girlfriends.
But just get Airtel Money Pay so that all money comes direct to your business wallet, and only you, the owner, have access to it.
Just dial *185 *10 hash, and now you are on. No waiting.
Huh? This insanity is sweet. Give them also.
I only take Airtel Money Pay. It's easy and secure.
Yes, become a safer and more efficient cash-free business today. Easy.
No mixing your business money with your Kameza money. Now, that's efficient.
Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
Welcome back. You are still watching News Tonight. Now in sports, as the world builds up to the Qatar 2022 World Cup, Ugandans are not left behind. Countries competing in Qatar will be winning money and honor. Ugandans will equally be winning prizes. Plascon has launched the Kyla Cup Paint and Win campaign that coincides with the FIFA World Cup season.
The World Cup fever that runs through the entire year not only excites hosting nations, but all football-loving countries. Here in Uganda, the nation that has never competed at that level, football enthusiasts usually confine with African nations that have qualified: Ghana, Cameroon, Senegal, Tunisia, Morocco. Other continents' representatives this year, and the debate of who will make it out of the group stages amongst them goes on. Private entities are focusing on the World Cup season to reward loyal customers, and Mary Stadium Chitende was the host of the Color Cup Paint and Win promotion that comes in the World Cup season. Here, all Plascon customers stand a chance to win prizes worth 2 billion Uganda shillings.
A decade we have been doing promotions towards the fourth quarter, and again this year we have come up with a promotion which is our Plascon Cup Color Cup promotion. It also coincides with the World Cup because our promotion is running from 1st of October to 13th of December, and the whole concept was as teams win in World Cup, so also we want Ugandans to win something during this period. So the promotion is basically a way of giving back.
Plus corner penetrating sports sponsorship. Apart from sponsoring Viper Sports Club, they sponsor netball, cricket, rugby, among other disciplines. The part of the league, Viper Sports Club will open its football season against Bright Stars this Friday. The host venue, St. Mary's Stadium Chitende, has fully been refurbished ahead of the new season.
I can't wait for the league opener. We've had a number of friendlies and the results are known to everybody. We've just had our first game of Champions League. No, okay, we had a second game. We are all set for TP Mazembe, that's coming here on 8th. The league is opening this Friday. As Vipers, we are more than prepared. We've assembled a world-class team and I can assure you we will match this.
Soccer team Sand Cranes continued with their impressive start at the Kosafa Beach Soccer Championship on Monday when they defeated Mauritius 9-2 in their second group game. The team, under the leadership of new coach Angelo Shrinizi, started off the tournament with a win against Tanzania 4-2 in their first game before they met Mauritius. This win automatically pushes Uganda to the semi-finals as they are now second in the group. Now players Samson Chiya, Ambrose Chigozi, Isma Kawaulo, Brian Nkubi, Beka Lukoya and Joshua Luwama have been very instrumental in Uganda's 2 wins. Uganda is using the tournament as part of the preparations for the Beach Soccer Africa Cup of Nations happening in Maputo, Mozambique in October 2022. The Cranes will play their final group game against Egypt on Wednesday.
Another goal.
Oh, well, that does it for news tonight. Thank you for sticking with us. I am Rhoda Ngonzi. Have yourselves a lovely night.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
The Ministry of Health informs the public that there are confirmed cases of Ebola in Uganda. We, however, urge the public not to panic as the situation is being